allows only initialization. It allows only initialization. That means you cannot declare or render. You cannot declare or render. Const will support only initialization. Actually, one more point is after initialization, you can render a value. But it supports only initialization. Without initialization, it cannot work. So const must be initialized with value. It will not allow declaration. It will not allow rendering directly. So for example, let's see. I am declaring here a variable with the const, const x, and x is equal to 10, and console.log, I want to print x is equal to plus x, and I will open this in the command prompt, and let's run this and see. Here itself in the terminal we can run it. So I am trying to run this in a command prompt. Variable open in command prompt, and compile and run this in the command prompt. So we are opening in the command prompt, and let's run tsc variable.ts. When I compile and run this, you can see you have an error. Error is nothing but clearly it says that const declaration must be initialized. So that means it is mandatory to initialize. And another point is it says that cannot assign because it is a constant. If it is a constant, you cannot assign values like this. So these are the two basic points that it is going to display. So that means const is not allowing to declare. So const must be initialized. It must be initialized. It is mandatory that const must be initialized. Hello, is it audible to everyone, right? Yeah, fine. Okay then. Okay. Let's continue, right? Fine, let's continue. Can start. Okay. So what is const? Const is used to define block scope variable, and it is accessible only within the defined block. It allows only initialization. You see, I created a program, and in this program, we declared x constant and we assigned, which is not possible. And when we compile, you can see two errors came. One error is const declaration must be initialized. Another error is cannot assign to constants. These are the two problems. So it must be initialized with a value. Initialization is mandatory. So I am initializing here. X is equal to 10. I initialized it. Of course, after initializing, you can render value. We will try here. I am writing here. But that is a different point. So when we compile and run that, you can see when we compile and run that, it is showing a problem. Cannot assign to the values. Cannot assign. That means it will not allow to assign. Dynamically, we can assign. That you will learn in later stages how we can do that. So initially, it allows initialization. You cannot declare or you cannot render. Render means assigning. After initialization, you can render a value that you can do that dynamically. Dynamically, you can do that. But we are not discussing about that dynamically. Later, you will understand about that. But two basic points you have to know that it allows only initialization. You cannot declare or you cannot render or assign values into it. So that means every constant must be initialized. That is important point. Another important point is const. It will not support shadowing, and it will not support hoisting. What is hoisting and shadowing? Yesterday I already discussed. So const will not support shadowing and will not support hoisting. That means suppose I initialized, so const x is equal to 10. We initialized the constant and we will compile and run it now. When I compile and run this, so node variable dot ts js, you can see it is working fine. And I try to redeclare this variable. Let's try to redeclare this variable. So again, I am defining const x is equal to 20. I try to redefine that variable, and let's compile and run this, and you will have an error. That means cannot redeclare block scope variable. It is a const, right? You cannot redeclare the block scope variable. That is problem. That means this is allowed if it is a var. By using var, if I do that, it is possible, but with const, it is not possible. With var, it is possible. With var, I am compiling it. It is possible with var. I will run that node variable dot js. It is working fine. But it is not possible with const. Const will not allow. That means here, when you are working with const, it allows only initialization. That means if I say const, so const x is equal to 10. So this is valid. Suppose I say const x, this is invalid. And x equal to 10, this is also invalid. It must be initialized with a